Sikhs do it, Buddhists do it, Jains do it. Now Christians do it, Islam does it. Why they do it? Because everybody understood that to conserve the mental energy and to be strong, we need japa. So she's got japa in one hand. Another hand, she's got books, Vedic knowledge, spiritual knowledge. And if we have this combination of all, we sit on a lotus. You understand? A combination of all makes us sit on a lotus. Lotus is such a beautiful flower. Born in water, water touches it, it cannot become wet. Think of it. Living in this world, that is the spiritual knowledge. We gain the strength, we live in the world. There can be difficulties, it should not affect us. We need strength, like what Krishna said in the Bhagavad Gita. In the second chapter in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna gives an example of ocean. Apuryamana machala pratishta, where he says how the amount of water which goes into the ocean, imagine every moment from different rivers, water enter the ocean every moment. How much of water do you think would be going into the ocean every moment? We can't measure it in liters, we have to measure it in gallons. Millions and millions of gallons of water enter the ocean every moment. Ocean has the ability to take it. That strength we need. We should not be broken down. And when we have that kind of a strength, we can aspire for higher things. If we don't have that strength, we will settle down for ordinary, we will settle down for mediocrity. In our state, in Tamil Nadu, this strength is more important. People know it, but they don't stand up with strength. We need to get that strength, and that strength can come only from spiritual knowledge. If we don't get the strength spiritually, we will be weak. We will allow matter to dominate the spirit. If we are strong, spirit will dominate the matter. So for that, this strength is very, very important. If we have this way, our method, Vedic method of invoking the strength, Goddess Saraswati, for example. You have strength, you have detachment, and you know to communicate your thoughts clearly and pleasantly, we would succeed. There are times when people want to say something, but they are not able to say it clearly. These abilities we need to cultivate. If we cultivate this, we can face different situations, and more so we need. Otherwise, you know what happens? Without much thinking, we are lost. Few people probably repeat something again and again, and we do not know to assess it correctly. Goddess Saraswati, again, is very important for assessment. She travels on a swan. Swan has a very beautiful ability. It can separate water and milk when it is mixed together. We should know and have the discrimination to understand when we should be with Satya, when we should be with Dharma. That clarity is necessary. Many a times we do not know. We say things and then probably repent. So what we need to do is think before we say. So if we are clear with these principles, even our words will carry and we will reach. We need this tapashakti. Only politically we can't achieve much. We need the tapashakti. That is why we need to get back to our roots. Then we can rise from there to a nation which we were once. Even in 12th century, even up to 12th century, 32% of India's GDP, world's GDP, if you see, India's contribution was 32% till 12th century. Till 18th century, 27, 26, 24, in 18th century we were fluctuating. India's GDP in 18th century, I'm talking 200 years back, We were fluctuating between 24 to 26. Please think of that. 24 to 26% of the world's GDP was in India. The next nation was China. Between India and China, between these two nations, we had 50% of the world GDP. Sometimes China was 27 and India was 23. Two nations. And the rest of the GDP was from two continents, Europe and the West. So this was the advancement. How did we have the material prosperity? And how well educated we were. And what a misnomer which keeps coming to us again and again. They tell us British came and educated us. Now this is the highest lie one can tell and force somebody to believe. British came and educated us. We had universities. Takshashila, Vallabha, Kanchi. When Britain was not even formed. We had universities, Maha Vishwavidyalaya, and then they tell us they came and taught us and we were educated by them. No. When British came to India, our GDP from 24 came down to 7, or not even 7.3. Do you understand from where to where British did and what did they do to India? And then we say they helped us develop. And we believe all this. And more so in Tamil Nadu, we need to really think, because that's where I said I started with Goddess Saraswati. We need to invoke her. We need to get the principles of Goddess Saraswati to achieve success. India was never one nation. How many times we have been hearing it in Tamil Nadu? India was never one nation. What do you mean India was never one nation? Columbus wanted to discover what? He wanted to discover what? Tamil Nadu? He wanted to discover Andhra Pradesh. 14th century, what he wanted to discover? India, right? India existed in 14th century or not? Vasco da Gama, he wanted to find sea route to what? Calicut. He wanted to find sea route to India. India existed in 14th century, India existed in 16th century. When Alexander came to India, they wrote a book called Indica, India again. To pleasant communication, Veena. No, I mean, when somebody says that, we don't even think that swan power is not there with us. We simply accept. Neither do we have strength. If we even know it, we don't have the strength to stand up and say, what are you talking about? I am proud of the race in which I am born. My heritage is so ancient. Materially, spiritually, we were advanced. With 32% of GDP, we had the blend of spiritual and material progress. That is what an Indian concept of Lakshmi Narayana. Lakshmi Narayana is the progress, Lakshmi is the prosperity. Spiritual and materialism combined, that is what our nation. Our Purushartha is Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. Not just Moksha. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. Live Dharma. Raise wealth, prosperity, work for it. In Rig Veda, there is a mantra which says, Aham Rashtrim Sangamani. Goddess Saraswati is saying this. I am the nation. Let us come together and progress. Rig Veda talks about patriotism. Rig Veda, the most ancient literature available on earth. Aham Rashtrim. I am the nation. What is taught to us today? What are we learning? And we have forgotten. You know, our history has to be understood well. I hope we have these discussions sometime. You know, we need to talk to our people about coastal history. Coastal history is not taught to us. We are taught to, most of the history we have learned is Delhi-centric. Whoever ruled Delhi, about them we have learned. Coastal history we have not learned. Coastal history is important because in the coastal history we achieved progress. India was one of the foremost nations when it comes to sea travel, sea trade, our rivers in Madurai, Vaigai had ports. How much of India has traveled? If the GDP was 32%, imagine the sea trade India was doing. To do that kind of a sea trade, what must be the coastal countries? What must be the progress we have made? The coastal history is not known. How many coastal kings we know? We know only about the invaders who came and occupied Delhi. Most of the history are Delhi-centric. We should shift from there to understand our glory. We need to understand coastal history. Tamil Nadu plays a vital role there. It is a coastal state. How many kings have went on sea travel? Rajendra Chola, he had a fleet, went into high seas, crossed, and established world trade center in central Java 1,000 years ago. Imagine the sea trade, and we still think British came and educated us. British came and gave progress to us. How can British give progress to us when we were doing something of this vast which they didn't even know? Coastal history, if we start learning, which Tamil Nadu, Andhra, Orissa, the coastal states, Kerala, then it makes a difference. Recently, I met one lovely person by name Sanjeev Sanya. He is an advisor to the finance ministry. He's in the team of the Prime Minister's advisory team when it comes to economics. Sanjeev Sanyal is a historian by passion. He told me something. He said, Swamiji, you are from South. Have you heard of Martanda Varman? He asked me this question, and honestly, I have not heard. Martanda Varman. I said, no. He said, in the 17th century, Dutch attacked India. Before British, it was Dutch which was dominating the world. Dutch had all of Africa with them. Whole of Asia, not Asia, Indonesia was with them. A part of Singapore, Malaysia was under Dutch. Sri Lanka was under Dutch, a part of Sri Lanka. So if you see Dutch occupied, and this huge Dutch army, this one person in Kerala defeated on Navy fight. We never hear of him. How do you think, if we don't know the stories of such people, Martanda Varman, name itself we have not heard. And who are his children? Forget it. We do not know who is Rajendra Chola's child. Isn't it? We know who is Baba's son, right? We know Humayun's son. We know Akbar's son. We know it in an order. All of you know it, yes or no? Delhi-centric. Coastal. So our idea itself was very, very limited, and we took up to a wrong method of learning, and people made sure that we learn, which will only keep us limited. So we need to rethink about it, re-establish, and Tamil Nadu plays a vital role in doing this. First, let us bring back the coastal history of India. Not just Tamil Nadu, but let's rework on the coastal history of India. If Ganeshanji, in your programs, call historians to talk about coastal history. Once we get to know about the coastal history, our people will know what kind of kings we had. Otherwise, we only know Delhi-centric and all the invaders. The best of our kings, their children we won't know. Maybe 2 generations we'll know, maximum third. We won't even know who the person is. So we need to get our history correct to take pride. Then we need to get our facts correct. What kind of a country we were. And we need the blessing of Goddess Saraswati to communicate that correctly. We know things, but we fail to communicate. It doesn't reach people. We need to make sure that we communicate correctly. The right choice of words in communication is very, very important. This is Goddess Saraswati sitting on a swan. Swan means communication. You communicate things correctly. Think properly and use the right word. Sometimes this would be difficult. For this, prayer and meditation are important. If we want to rebuild our country, we need to rebuild like how we rebuilt in the past. In the past, we built it up only with spiritual and materialism combined, Lakshmi and Narayana combined. Today we say, like we have kept the Lord out and we are talking about worldly development, and there are various other things which people speak. Spirituality is at the back seat. And what pride do we take in our Tamil literature today? What pride do we have? Tamil books? In our schools, people learn the best of the books. Do they learn? No. You learn something else altogether. Unless we get back and bring back these treasures, I don't think we can do much. Once we do with this, we can't be stopped, because once we had both spirituality and materialism combined, that is the strength which can develop a nation. So this combination is necessary. My simple request to all of you. I just want you to think about 1-2 aspects. Your grandmother or your grandfather was practicing certain spiritual practices, religious practices. Your grandfather, you saw him doing. Your father also you saw doing certain things. Correct? How much of what your father did, you took it up? How much of your mother did, you took it up? You took up everything what your parents did? Or you deleted some of them? Please think. What my grandmother was doing, did my mother pick up everything what my grandmother was practicing? She picked up little. And that little is total for me. In that I pick up little. Please understand, from grandmother to granddaughter, how much of it is lost. And each one of us are responsible for it. Please understand, each one of us is responsible for it. From the grandparents to grandchildren, there is a cultural erosion. Because the father saw the grandfather practicing and felt, oh, this is too elaborate, I'll just pick up a little. And the son saw the father, that is all, oh, this and this I take little. Between grandson and the grandfather, lost. This should not happen. This is not taught in the school, this is taught at home. So please insist on certain practices. They are necessary. They are great reminders. And do not allow your child to get lost into, these fashionable statements they make. Today, I work with youth. So this is a very fashionable statement. Swamiji, I'm very spiritual, not religious. I'm very spiritual, not religious. What do you mean? Explain. I'm very spiritual, not religious. Please explain. What is that? What do you mean I'm spiritual and not religious? Why are you separating spirituality? According to you, is what spirituality? Just meditation is spirituality? Any other ritual is religion? Please understand, my teacher, Swami Chinmayananji, has said this. This is the most beautiful example. He says, outer bark of a tree is rituals. Inside is spirituality. Only spirituality cannot survive. Only outer bark without spirituality cannot survive. It is a combination. Rituals protect, people connect to it easily. That is the outer bark. So religion and spirituality was one and the same. Never a statement of this kind was made. It is there in our books. It is called dharma. Today suddenly we say, I'm very spiritual, not ritual, and parents take pride. My child is very spiritual. Not rituals, what? They will not celebrate festivals because you are spiritual. That is rituals, right? You will not celebrate, do any rituals, all that drop. I'm spiritual. No, please don't allow your child to get into that either. these things will not help. We should be proud of what we have and we should demonstrate it proudly. Yesterday, this child won a gold medal for us, Imadas. I'm sure all of you saw it. The most beautiful part of it is after winning, she runs. She finishes the race and she goes, the coach comes, gives her a gamcha. Gamcha is a Assamic traditional wear. She wears a gamcha, that is the pride. A sportswoman achieved, wears a gamcha and then carries the flag. This pride, what she demonstrated is beautiful. She showed the Indianness there. The Indianness there. We need to bring this pride. Look at the child. A farmer's daughter comes up on a national scene. World is watching her when she won it. The whole nation was watching. And we see that video because the first time in an athletic, an Indian won a gold. But what did she do? She wore a gamcha first. The gamcha is like an angavastram, what we have. It is a traditional Assami dress, a traditional Assami respect. You wear a gamcha and then she took the flag. This is pride. And this pride can be brought in everybody if we can reach out correctly. If we can do this kind of a thing, spiritually we are strong, nobody can stamp us. If we are weak, please remember we will perish. Together only we can achieve things, not broken, not divided. If we are divided, we are gone. What happened to Russia? Is not Russia divided? Once a superpower, what kind of a nation it was? They divided, broken it into countries, gone. And what kind of a nation we were once? How big we were? We are the only nation which is shrinking. The land lost in Bharat is more than the land retained. We cannot afford to allow these breakings further. We need strength to face it. Spirituality gives us the strength. Spirituality gives us the clarity. Spirituality will make us go forward. Spiritual and material combined was what Bharat was. That combination we should once again bring, and it all depends upon parenting. Parenting. Let us invoke the strength. I'll conclude with one example which I read in Kamba Ramayan. It is not there in Valmiki, it is there in Kamban. Kamban describes the power of women. Sumitra, the queen. Valmiki has not written it this way. Kamban writes it. Please think, when Ram was asked to go to the forest, Lakshman volunteered on his own. There was nobody forcing Lakshman to go to the forest. He came forward, he volunteered on his own. He said, I am going. Sumitra's response for that is, I am proud of your decision. You made a good decision. Now, how many mothers would say that? That your son comes to you and says, next 14 years I'm going to the forest. Oh, you made a good decision. What must be the strength of that person to say that? Clarity and understanding the value of Ram. She tells, you made a good decision. Then she tells Lakshman, do not follow Ram as his brother. You will be pampered. You are his younger brother, you will get pampered. The mother is advising the son, follow Ram as a servant, dasa. Then you will serve him well. Please understand, look at the woman's clarity. Swan, Goddess Saraswati, discriminating power. And the choice of word, follow him as a servant so that you will serve. Your objective for going to the forest will be fulfilled. If you go there as a brother, you are younger brother, you will be pampered, you will not do your job well. Then she tells further, if anything happens to Ram, now look at the words. If anything happens to Ram, let's say someone kills Ram. If anything happens to Ram, it should be Lakshman died, then Ram died. Not Ram died and then also Lakshman was killed. Not that way. Lakshman died and then Ram died. It should be, if there is a disaster, you should know to take it first. That's the job for which you're going. You're going there as an escort, do it this way. And final statement, she says, what is not negotiable? I cannot accept this, that you return without Ram. If a mother can give this knowledge to the son, imagine the respect between the love and affection, the parenting, the values which the mother is instilling between two brothers. And what must be her strength on a shocking news that her son has to go into the forest for 14 years. But her mind was so balanced. She accepts that shock like an ocean taking water. She takes it up and says things correctly. If we can do something, only strength can do. Strength respects strength. Let's have that strength. And that comes from spirituality. Thank you very much.